Welcome back to the channel. Once again, if you guys like the content that we're providing, to be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming content as we are live here from the 2025 PRI Trade Show. We have a lot of announcements to cover today, as well as some major announcements coming tomorrow as we get set for the 2026 NHRA season. So if you want to keep up to date with all the silly season rumors and all the loose ends are going to get tied up here this weekend, you'll be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the upcoming action. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
Quality Tools US Nationals. Sean Cowie will race Madison Payne in round number 1, and Matt Cummings will square off with Megan Smith when we get to round 1 tomorrow morning at Tom Alcohol Tracks. Yeah, looking at the rest.
So we've wrapped up day 1 here at the 2025 PRI Trade Show. Not as many, I would say, bombshell announcements coming this year as there were last year. There were a lot of them that were pretty much every other hour that it seemed like, but this year a lot of the announcements have been really made earlier, which is kind of surprising and weird. Obviously, as we know, Alexis Ajoria has been announced as the 4th driver of the John Force Racing Funny Car. That was kind of an open secret by the midpoint of the season. Jason Bunker has departed from Cruz Pedregon Racing. Put 2 and 2 together, he's probably going to end up at John Force Racing as well. There's still the open question on whether or not the driver and the crew chief pairing scenarios for that Cornwall Quality Tools car. What I will say, I did spot Austin Prock walking the floor here today, and he is not wearing any logos whatsoever on his shirt. There is absolutely nothing. It is a blank t-shirt, and he has a hat on with his own logo on it. So very much secretive as to what his plans are for next year. Doesn't even have like a Hurley shirt or anything like that on. Some other announcements as well. They unveiled the class schedule for next year. It pretty looks similar to what we saw this year. Pro Stock again going to every single NHRA national event for 2026. Obviously Top Fuel and Funny Car, same deal there. Pro Stock Motorcycle, again, they're going to start Gainesville. They're going to take off the Western midpoint, the early season swing out in Phoenix and Pomona, and they'll rejoin us at Gainesville. However, something I'm surprised by, they're not going to South Georgia Motorsports Park. I figured they would have, considered the fact that a lot of teams tested there in the winter, so it made sense for them to go there. They're also not going to be at Epping. And then one of the big surprises to some people is that they're not going to be participating in the actual Western swing. They won't be at Sonoma as they have in the past, so they will not be in Seattle or Sonoma. So they do lose at least one race from the looks of it, which is a bit disappointing, but I understand why. They had low bike turnouts. It's hard to get them to go that far out west. There's not really a whole lot of West Coast bike teams, same way in the scenario that we see in the Top Fuel category. What I would have liked to have seen instead, though, is if we're going to lose that race in Seattle and Sonoma, you might as well have just taken them back to Brainerd, but obviously I don't know about the pits space scenario and if they're even able to do that. One thing I have not been able to ask about or really confirm that I noticed on the board is the lack of Top Fuel motorcycle. Nowhere mentioned. They had a couple of events last year, obviously with Larry McBride winning the both championships there. It's a class I've really liked, and I'm surprised it's not on the board. I don't know if they're racing or not. I know IHRA has a really healthy category going on over on their side of the series, but I'm a bit surprised that the Pingle Top Fuel Motorcycle Series is not going to, looks like it's not going to be a thing. Either is still working on their schedule, but as it looks of it right now, I don't think it's coming back. The announcements that came out today as well. Heading into this event, Buddy Hole has announced he is leaving Jim Dunn Racing. He's going to go start his own Fuel Funny Car program. We'd have an opportunity to talk to him about that, the story about why he wanted to make the decision and what we can expect from him coming into 2026. The other big announcement is that the historic US131 Motorsports Park has been added as a NHRA-sanctioned member-family track. That was a story that Bobby hinted at earlier this week on Competition Plus. He also hinted the fact that there is the possibility and the consideration of them becoming a national event track, same way we've seen with Rockingham, South Georgia Motorsports Park, and Maryland. So there's a possibility for that. We'd have an opportunity to talk to Glenn Cromwell, as well as Jason Peterson, the owner of US131. We'll hear from those guys, and then we'll look ahead to tomorrow as we get ready for some of the bigger announcements that are coming with here in the upcoming days.
Protect your vehicle with peak original equipment technology. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle.
All right, Standing here with Buddy Hole here for day one of PRI. You had a pretty big announcement coming into this event that you're stepping away from the Jim Dunn racing team and now stepping back into an ownership role, driving your own car, this time in the Fuel Funny Car category. Tell us about this deal and how you came to be now your own owner in the NHRA Funny Car division.
Noah, thanks for having me. And timing was right for me. You know, I'm an entrepreneur by spirit in what I do for a living. So it was a good place, good time for me to use opportunity to own a car and to drive a car for business purposes, really. So, and also my legacy, right? I have a 16-month-old son, and you know, I hope and pray that he wants to drive race cars. He may not, and it may seem like 15 years is a long ways away, but it's not. You know what I mean? I've learned that in the last 20 years, because I don't know where it's gone, that 15 years is really nothing. So he'll be driving a junior dragster before we know it, and he'll be driving something else when he turns 15 before we know it, and then when he turns 18 years old, he'll be driving whatever he wants to drive. I'll make it happen. So yeah, there's that, and it's a season for it. Hey, next year it may change, right? You don't know, but right now in this particular season, in my time in my life, it's best for me to own and drive. There's no question.
And then tell me about the decision to go to Funny Car as an owner, because before you went to Jim Dunn Racing, you were driving your own Top Fuel dragster. Yeah. So what's the decision to decide to stay within the Fuel Funny Car category rather than go back to what you already knew?
Yeah, I just love the funny cars. You know what I mean? I still have a Top Fuel dragster. It's parked in my shop. It's basically fresh, all brand new, ready to rock and roll. Beautiful race car, but I'm not a Top Fuel driver. I'm a Nitro Funny Car driver. That's what I want to do. I love the challenge of driving the funny car. I like the, I'm also a mechanical guy, so I like the appearance of a Nitro Funny Car. I like the mechanics of a Top Fuel Funny car, and I just think they're the coolest thing in the world. So to be able to own one, drive one, and really just kind of do it quote unquote my way is a big thing for me.
And then tell me about the history of the chassis of these cars, because I was surprised to learn that these chassis are just sitting in your shop waiting to be used. I figured that you would have bought them used for somebody else. So what's the story behind these cars and where they came from?
So I'm a race car part hoarder, to say the least. And one of the cars I've had for a while, like quite a while, and it's basically a brand new car. We have another car. We've bought another car that matches that car that's basically brand new recently. So they're two matching cars, and really 98% of the parts that are bolted on both those cars are brand new as well. One of them is turnkey, ready to go to the starting line right now, and the other one's about 70%. So we'll get it to 95%. We'll leave it in that state because that's the state it needs to be in as a spare car. The other 5% happens when you drag it out of the trailer because you had a bad wreck or whatever it was. So we'll have that car done probably within 6 weeks as well. So we plan to go to Gainesville and make as many runs as we possibly can and try to figure out a quote unquote literally a brand new combination, which we have some help on, and I have two really good guys helping me out, which is Mike Guger and Johnny West, and I'm excited to have those guys on board. So I feel like we'll come out swinging. I really do. I believe in my people. I believe in my race cars. I believe in my parts. We've thrown in some extra safety devices on my car that other people don't have. Just after my wrecks, I've learned that hey, we can do this and do that and make them safer. Nothing groundbreaking, but definitely there, and we're gonna be ready, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
You've always been out front and vocal about what you thought about whether the tech department needs to change or the safety regulations need to change. Tell us about the decision on where you came up with this idea to do something as simple as just moving that shield in front of you up a little bit higher to where now your whole body except above your neck is covered.
Well, I moved it up and back, and I did that because when I had my wreck in Sonoma, the firewall came up and over the hand shield and hit my hands and broke my left hand in two places and put a hole in my hand. And ideally, it could be prevented with the hand shield that I built. So, the hand shield I built, runs all the way up the top frame rail, all the way to the front of the hoop, and goes up the hoop 6 to 8 inches, give or take, and then it's eye level. So, if you can imagine, it has the same amount of room to get out as a dragster, which is 18 inches. We actually made it 18 and a half. So it doesn't stop you from getting in or out. It's just as easy as it was before. Actually, it's easier to get out now because you have something to grab onto. So I can actually get out faster, which is really cool. But if I'd have had that on my car, there's a 90% chance, or maybe even a 99% chance that my hand would have never got hurt, because that completely encompasses the steering wheel, the brake handle, and the fuel lever, which is the goal. Because they're gonna blow up. It's a Nitro Funny Car. It's gonna blow up. Things gonna go wrong. But if you have the steering wheel and you have the brake handle, at least you have the opportunity to control the vehicle to the best of your ability when it's on fire and shit's flowing all, sorry my language, but shit's flowing all over the place, and you know what I mean? There's a lot going on in those cars at 300 plus miles an hour when it's on fire. But you know, if you have the brake handle, you have the steering wheel, at least you have that opportunity, and that was my goal. And I'm not looking for special credit. I'm not looking to make money on this. I don't want to produce them. I don't want to build them. None of that. I just wanted to build something that other people could copy off of and kind of see the idea behind it and make everybody safer. So I took the plunge. I did it first.
And then, we talked about at the beginning, your history as an owner before you became the driver for Jim Dunn Racing. We see in other series, whether it's IndyCar or NASCAR or even F1, you need multi-million-dollar deals. You need private equity firms to get involved in the sport. You need charters to be even competitive. But in this case, it's pretty much almost a decision of, do you have the money, do you have the sponsors, and do you have the will to want to do it? What is it about NHRA national event like funny car racing that makes it easier to want to be able to step into a full-time self-ownership role rather than being that paid driver that goes out there and funds his own ride with somebody else?
I want to race against the best in the world, right? I've always gone by the rule, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And I'm not the best. So since you're not the best, you got to go out there and beat the best. So the best nitro funny cars in the whole entire world are NHRA drag racing, right? There's other competitors out there. There's other countries out there that field these cars. But the truth is the best in the world are NHRA, and it's always going to be that way, more than likely. So for us to go out there and to compete with the best in the world and try to become one of the best in the world is the goal. In my opinion, if your goal is to not eventually be one of the best in the world and win Wallies and win a world championship, then why are you doing it? My opinion.
And as well, you talked about NHRA being the best in the world, but you're entering this era of being an owner as an owner at such an interesting crossroads because of the fact that now you have the NHRA, which allows people like yourself that may not have that same funding as the Forces and the Colettas to go out there and be competitive and get the money and get the runs that you need while also not having to spend as much. Yeah. How do you divide and conquer wanting to plan ahead and wanting to do an NHRA schedule and this, and what's kind of your game plan heading in next year and what you want to do?
Well, first of all, I love the NHRA program. I'm as much of an NHRA guy I am, I also see the value there. I love what they're doing. I love that they've produced an environment that it's a little bit more affordable for drivers and for team owners to go out there and burn nitro and be competitive. I love that idea. I don't know if we're going to run any of those this year. We've talked about it. They just announced 2 races this year that are pretty close to Dallas. They're within striking range, that's for sure. But there's no plans. But once again, I'm repeating myself here, but I love what Daryl's doing over there. I think that we need another sanctioning body and another outlet for people to race and to build up teams, because it may be a situation where, let's be real, the best in the world are not racing over there. The best in the world are driving NHRA. So it may be a situation where a lot of teams get built there, like Clay Millican, for example. Clay Millican is what I would call the absolute picture of building himself at IHRA and then going on NHRA and becoming a champion. Now, Clay's not a world championship, but he's got tons of Wallies, so he's the best example of that. And I think that could happen. I really do.
And then as you enter your first year as a Fuel Funny car owner, obviously the number one thing you want to do is go out there, turn on win lights and win races, but is there like a checklist you have in the back of your head that you realistically want to achieve step by step before you go out there and say, okay, now we're going to go out there and contend for Wallies?
Yeah, so, I race on paper in my camp. So in other words, for us, it's always racing the racetrack, right? That's what I can afford to do. That's what we're going to do. So what we're going to try to do is race on paper. So whatever the conditions are, whatever parts we have, we're going to do our very best and absolute best to run the best we can with that. We want to be that 92 to 97 nitro funny car that does it most of the time, and we want to have a ET average at the end of the year that makes sense on paper. You don't want to do a season of nitro funny car racing and have an average ET of a 440. Let's have an average ET of a 402, and that's everything. That's the runs that smoke the tires. That's the runs that it shakes. That's the runs that all the bad things happen, along with the good runs that you ran, that 91 or the 92 or the 93. So we want to have a good average run for the season, and have fun doing it, not be on fire, and not spread all over the racetrack and slow our competitors down from running their cars. That's what we want to do.
And then to end us all off, one of the things that makes funny cars so unique is the shell that sits over the car that identifies what these cars are. I've already been told that you already have bodies in stock.
Yeah.
What, maybe not even so much manufacturer backed, but what is the OEM that you're going to be representing?
Yeah, Ford for sure. I do have a Ford backer, Sandpack Ford, Dallas is one of my partners. We've had a long relationship. They backed me on my top fuel car, and they were super excited when I told them I was going to drive a funny car under my own umbrella. So they're 100% on board with us. They're building us a tow vehicle right now. It's going to be all decked out, wrapped, special wheels, all this crazy stuff. They're always right behind me, and thank God for those people. We actually just built a 2025 Buddy Hole Edition Mustang. Made 900 horsepower to the tire, and it's on their showroom right now for sale. And my Nitro Funny Cars Park knows with it. It's pretty cool.
All right, then I guess to end it off on, you already mentioned one of your sponsors. When can we expect any future announcements on what's going to be wrapped around the side of your car when you're in Gainesville?
Yeah, we will, as we move through to the season, we'll be announcing those sponsors. It looks like we're going to end up with 2 different primaries throughout the season, but as we get closer to the time period, we'll be announcing those. And our goal is to run full time, so we're moving towards that. With a short window of time, we're moving towards it, and I think we're going to be able to make it happen.
Joining the NHRA member track family for the 2026 season. Welcome aboard US131. We are so excited to have this incredible facility part of the member track family. It will host a Lucas Oil Series divisional event next season in July with a national open at the start of it. Jason, let me start with you. Welcome aboard. Why was now the right time for 131 to join the NHRA family?
I don't know if there's any one reason. One thing that's funny, we were talking before we came up stage that US 131, formerly Martin Driveway, was NHRA 25 years ago. So this is the first time in 25 years, which is kind of ironic that we're going into the 75th for NHRA. So it's a perfect fit for us right now. This is a good thing. We're a fine facility. We have equipment. We have just a great facility to compare with the Baders in Norwalk. And we're excited now to move forward and just see what we can do here at NHRA.
Your son Samuel's been such a big part of the growth of this facility. You were on our track operators conference earlier talking about track prep, Samuel. When you think about the future of this facility and the legacy that your family has built there, the opportunity next season to have NHRA races, to have a Lucas Oil Series race, to have these Wallies, the 75th Wallies, on the line for your racers that I know you work so hard for every week. What does that mean for you and your family?
Well, it means a lot. I think it's going to be a big deal. I was looking at these earlier. I was like, man, I kind of want one of those. I don't have one of those yet. I have all the other ones, but I'm super excited. We've been thinking about this for a while now, with everything happening in the sanctioned body world and whatnot. And I've really come to peace, of all of us with this decision to move to the NHRA, and I'm really excited about the things that are to come down in the future, and even this coming season.
You guys have so many incredible events that you've built organically at 131, and I would assume that we're adding to those events. Everything that your racers love at 131 will stay the same. You'll have your big events, you'll have the races that pack the stands there. On top of that, now an opportunity to have the Lucas Oil Series races as well.
No, that's for sure. We still have our Northern Nationals in August, our Funny Car Nationals that we have produced for some 20 plus years, our own. Yes, and to add the divisional with the Lucas Oil Series, it's just an added event for us. So it's going to be exciting. We're really excited. We're excited for the racers. There's probably been a lot of racers that haven't been to our facility because we haven't been in NHRA. So starting off with the National Open and the Lucas Oil races, we're going to get a lot of new racers to our facility, and we know and very confident once they come, they'll want to come back.
Oh, no question about that. That event will come out of 4th of July weekend. So it'll be July 8th through the 12th there with the National Open into the Lucas Oil Series event as well. I'm really excited to make the trip up there. It's really one of those tracks when you live in other parts of the country, as I do, and you think about iconic drag strips across the country. Your facility is one that always comes up. It's talked about across the country. It's such a well-maintained facility. It's got such an organic following up there, the events that you put on. So to be able to add the NHRA to that facility and to have you join the member track family, I know means a tremendous amount to all of us here at the NHRA. So we're really excited to have you aboard. Welcome aboard. I'd like to bring up Glenn Cromwell, the president of the NHRA, and William Tharp, who's the division director, Division 3. I know that he has been hounding you guys for this decision for a long time. Glenn will make it official here.
I will, but I do want to say a few words. I want to say on behalf of the NHRA, William, our Division 3 director, has worked tremendously hard. Jason, we are so excited and proud to have you part of the NHRA family. It means a lot to me, I grew up in Michigan, so it has a special place for me, but I'm excited to work with you and take care of any of the needs that you need. So thank you very much. Thank you to you. Next year is our 75th anniversary, and we'd like to present, on behalf of Wally Parks, if he was here, I'd love to give this to you. So on behalf of Wally, a 75th anniversary ring as we celebrate next year, and you're part of the family. So thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Glenn Cromwell will sign the member track charter. We'll pass out your official NHRA hats for you and Samuel. And with this, that was smooth, Glenn. And with that, US131 Motorsports Park, Martin, Michigan, joins the NHRA member track family. Welcome aboard.
All right, Senator Glenn Cromwell here to end off day one here at PRI. You made a historic announcement. NHRA now has another track back up in Michigan, adding the historic US131 drag strip to the NHRA family. Tell me how much it means to you to get to add such a historic facility to your list of tracks heading into 2026.
You know, it means a lot. You know, Jason Peterson and his team do such a wonderful job up there at 131. To have them part of the NHRA family means a ton. You know, as we lead into our 75th anniversary, it's great to have them part of the family. And you know, I grew up in Michigan, so there is a little special part in my heart that they're a part of our family, and I'm excited. It's such a great location. You know, you got Grand Rapids to the north, you got Kalamazoo to the south, you got Detroit about 2.5 hours, 3 hours over to the east. It's just a great location. And I'm excited to be part of it, and I'm glad he's part of our family.
And tell me about how this announcement came to be. What is the discussion like to get to add them? Because for the longest time, even back in the 2000s, they were an NHRA track. So what was the discussions to get them added to the NHRA family?
Well, I think a lot of it, you know, a lot of the credit goes to William Thorpe, you know, our Division III director. He does a tremendous job, and he's built a great relationship with Jason. And it's important for our team to service our member tracks. I mean, a lot of people at NHRA, you know, we work on multiple areas of our business, but I will tell you, we stand by what Wally Parks has always said, is our member tracks are the backbone and the foundation of our sport, and we have made a conscious effort to make sure that we continue to grow in that passion and take care of our tracks and our racers.
And this track as well has been the rumor for, I want to say, since about the time of the U.S. Nationals began, that it could be a future host for a national event heading into the future. Can you even speak on the odds of that happening and the good chances that we could see that in the future?
Well, I'm not going to speak on the odds of it happening, but we obviously are having discussions, and I think that could be a possibility in the future. Absolutely.
And then just to kind of end this off on, we've seen in the past, you guys have acquired a couple of tracks to get to add either to the national event schedule or add to the NHRA family. You added Maryland, you added South Georgia Motorsports Park, and now you added this track. Those are three major racetracks to get to add to your family of racetracks. What was the decision behind it to want to really go after these racetracks to not only acquire them as a buyout, but just to bring them into the family as well, to kind of go back to these kind of route racetracks rather than go out to these big facilities that you guys have been chasing?
Well, I think, you know, in Rockingham, we're also going to Rockingham, and that's an NHRA member track, but, you know, I think for us, it's looking at the market that surrounds them. That is an important, like when you go to Maryland, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, it's got a huge DMA. We have a large racer base. We want to make sure we take care of them. You know, South Georgia Motorsports Park, you know, it's a few hours south of Atlanta, but it really brings racing back into Georgia. You know, we actually branded it as our Southern Nationals, and we're excited about that. And then having a track in Michigan, I think just rounds it out, and we're excited to be there. And like I said, I think there's opportunity in the future that we could bring a national event there.
And then I guess the last question I can ask, I asked you this back at the U.S. Nationals as well, but I mean, what other markets are there left that you guys really want to explore? Because you guys kind of have pretty much the whole market covered on each end of the coast. Is there any other places that you want to try to add to you guys', whether it's the pro schedule or just add to your family member racetracks?
No, I think, I mean, we've got a lot of tracks we're talking to. You know, I think that's important, and we looked out west. There's some tracks on the west coast that we're looking at and having conversations with. You know, for us, it's important to get as many member tracks as we can. We want to service them. We think the NHRA is a great place to be. We provide great benefits to our member tracks, great expertise, and we can help them succeed. So, we're looking at a lot of different tracks throughout the U.S.
All right, standing here with Jason Peterson, owner of US131 Motorsports Park. You just announced today to cap off day one here at PRI that you're going to become an NHRA member track heading into 2026. Tell us about how this deal came together and the decision behind wanting to join the NHRA and become a part of their family.
Well, truthfully, it's been going on for years. We've been in talks with William Tharp here at Division III. It just hasn't been the right time. And just everything clicked, and it was time. It was time for us to make the move.
And then, tell us about wanting to join the NHRA, because in the past you guys have been owned by IHRA. You've done your own stuff as independents even far back in the 70s, one of the more historic racetracks. What was it about NHRA that was so enticing that this was the right time for you to want to jump on board with them?
Just the longevity and the stable atmosphere that they have. You're right. We went through the whole IHRA. Total different members. Total different ownerships from private to corporate to the WDRA. Back then, now it got purchased again, and we just want to be stable. We just want to be stable, and NHRA gives that to us.
And then as well, we talk about the fact this is a historic facility. There was magazine races that were out there. You'd have Garlitz versus Prudhomme versus Cled, all these guys back in the 70s and the 80s. So it's not a thing of the past where we've seen top fuel dragsters and nitro cars. I think the fastest ever quarter mile pass was made at your drag strip, if I remember correctly as well. Tell us about the future possibility of whether or not you guys could become a national event facility, because we've seen tracks like Rockingham, like South Georgia, like Maryland add these racetracks. So you guys are right up there on the same level with them. So what's the possibility of us seeing the Mission Food Series make a trip up north?
If you're going to ask me, I'm going to say it's very well. That's definitely our goal. That's what we want to do, and we'll work with NHRA to hopefully make that happen sooner than later.
And then, what does it just mean to you to get to add this? You talk about the fact that you've been with WDRA, you've been with IHRA, you've done all this stuff to now join what many people would look at as the top place to be when it comes to top-end national event drag racing. What does it mean to you to get to be a part of this whole family?
Oh, it makes you feel good. We've always been, I guess, what we would consider the big fish over in the little pond. Now we're going to come and be part of the big pond with everybody. But we fit in. We're still we still feel we're a top 5-10 track in the nation. So we feel we fit in pretty good. We're excited about it.
So that is going to wrap up today's coverage here from the PRI Trade Show. I will say, be ready for tomorrow, because the big announcement of this event is going to take place early in the morning. So be ready for that. You want to be up about 9 a.m. for when that happens. There's going to be a big announcement from John Force Racing. So there's your spoiler on what that announcement is. There is a Cornwall Quality Tools car sitting right next to the stage. If you looked in the background of all the interview shots I did, you can see that car there. So the biggest question of the off season so far is about to be answered tomorrow. One of the things I do want to say that I have found out later on, there was a question of what was going to happen with Austin Proc's team. Those guys, from what I understand, everybody but one person has walked out the door, and they're going to be heading to wherever Austin Proc is heading. So there is the answer on that. So pretty much a whole new crew is going to be hired for that Cornwall Quality Tools car, a whole new brain trust as well that has yet to be announced, but it can easily be speculated. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, to look forward to here in the next upcoming months as we get set for Gainesville. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below for Mighty Mac 03. Follow me on all social media pages as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all that fun stuff. Be sure to comment down below who you think is going to be the person announced to drive that Cornwall car tomorrow, as well as some upcoming silly season rumors that you may have heard yourself. Also be sure to share this video so that way we can spread this out and get as many viewers on this channel as we can heading into 2026 as we get set to end the year here from the trade show. And I gotta say, it's good to be back. I always love coming to the PRI Trade Show. It's just a fun way to end the year. It's a fun way to kind of cap everything off. It's the last time you really get to see everybody for the Christmas break. So it's fun to be back. I've had a lot of interesting conversations today. I'm going to have a lot more as the weekend continues. And then, of course, we'll be hibernating for the winter. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to our friends over at Peak Performance for once again sending us out here to cover this event. I can't wait to go meet up with those guys and talk to them tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for watching. And until tomorrow afternoon, this is Mighty Mac. We'll see you in the next video.